It's time to sip that coffee, get your mind right, and vibe with the queen herself. We're dishing out hot topics, wellness tips of the day, and things that make you go, Let's get this palace party started.
All right. Welcome, everybody, and happy Thursday. Listen, welcome. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. I am having a nice cup of coffee. I'm feeling good. I almost said happy Wednesday because typically we do these corporate segments on Wednesday morning, but it is Thursday morning. So happy Thursday to you. For those of you that are tuned in from Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, we appreciate you being here. And if you are on your way to work, you're stuck in traffic and you decided to come up and hang out with us, let me hear you toot those horns. There they go. Yeah, they are. All right. Those are our commuters that are headed to work. Um, for those of you that are working from home, make sure you shout us out in the chat. Say hello and good morning to you. And those of you that are at work, in your cubicles, in your offices, listen, we appreciate you. And we also appreciate the teams that listen to us in groups. And thank you to the managers, leaders, and directors in the corporate spaces that allow your teams to come in and pull up. Now, listen, we can be a wild card because you never know what we're going to say over here. We're going to get into it today. This is something we rarely ever talk about. We talk about it in reverse Uno order as it relates to quiet quitting, but rarely do we ever speak on quiet firing. This video today, y'all, we're going to talk about what quiet firing really is, the warning signs that you need to look for because it happens all the time. Why companies use this tactic as opposed to just letting you go, and how it differs from quiet quitting. There is a such thing as quiet firing. Okay? It really is. And what can you do? We're going to talk about what can you do if you feel like this is happening to you. Are For those of you that are tuned in, are you familiar with quiet firing? Are you familiar with it? Because your employer just might be trying to force you out. It happens. Sad to say, it happens. Okay. Before we jump in, I just need to know really quick how you're feeling. Just drop one descriptive adjective in the chat. One word, not a long sentence. How are you feeling right now? Or how are you feeling? Or how are you trying to feel towards the end of this segment? How are you feeling? Shar says, I've never heard of it. Oh, we're going to talk about it today, Shar. It is a real thing where corporations quietly fire you without firing you. It is a big thing. Hibiscus Rose is feeling grateful. Queen Liz is feeling energetic. We have Bless from Regina B. Loyana is feeling motivated. All right. That's good enough for me. That is my cue to go ahead and jump in. Looks like we are off to a great start. Patrina, thank you. She's feeling grateful. Connie is feeling great. Darlene is feeling calm. Linda Gamble is feeling active. Ooh, that's a good word, Linda. Mm. Y'all don't mind me taking a sip of my coffee, do you? Let me take a sip of my coffee. Then we're going to get into quiet firing, why corporations do this, and how to tell if your company or if your employer is actually trying to get rid of you. Now, before I get into it, this is not a conversation to provoke or entice negativity. We talk over here to give you strategies to help you be proactive and help you make quick, productive decisions. Okay. Is your employer forcing you out? Let's talk about it. First of all, you have to know what quiet firing is. Quiet firing is when your employer, your boss, neglects, sidelines, or subtly pushes you out without officially firing you. It's similar to a relationship. And oftentimes I hear women use this example of where a man seems to be disconnected or their partner seems to be disconnected, and opposed to sitting down and having a mature adult relationship, he or she may become so disconnected that they force your hand and you abruptly have to end up, I don't know, what, discarding, breaking up, or leaving the relationship. But yeah, that's what quiet firing is. And it can include a lot of things, but let me give you some of the top 5 that has been listed in research. One of the first things may be withholding promotions or withholding raises over long periods of time. Not to say you don't get them or they've stopped completely, but they don't come as often as they should, okay? The cadence has been reduced. Also, reducing and or eliminating your responsibilities. Yeah, not plugging you into key meetings. You find out that there was a meeting, there was like a group email, and you were not included on that email. There's not really a reasonable explanation as to why. But the second is reducing responsibility. So number 1, withholding promotions and or raises over a long period of time. Number 2, reducing responsibilities. Number 3, poor or no feedback. It's like in this realm of it's not really direct, it doesn't make sense, and it makes it hard for you as the employee to improve. There's a lot of ambiguity, it seems to be, around the feedback. Nothing really concrete, pretty subjective, but there's really nothing solid for you to take away to improve. The fourth sign could be unreasonable workloads or unrealistic expectations. It could be the opposite. Reverse psychology. I'm going to put everything on you. I'm going to stretch you until you can't bend anymore. I'm going to pile on your workload, and eventually you will break. Last but not least, micromanaging and or isolating you as an employee socially or professionally. Does any of those sound familiar? Oh, Deborah C says, I am going through this right now. Yeah, this could be a sign that your job, your employer, your boss, and sometimes it's not specific to the organization, it could just be an isolated incident between you and your superior where they want you out. They want you out. Thank you, Aid Beauty Box says quiet firing looks like cutting hours, bullying, withholding progress. Absolutely. Yvonne Michelle says, I miss this segment every week because of work, but feel like the Holy Spirit has me listening because I feel like this might have happened to me for the past several months. And it just may be. Okay. So let's talk about why it happens. We've identified what it looks like, we've defined what it is, and we've given you some things or clues like, okay, it could possibly look like, one of these 5 things. Now, that is not a comprehensive list, that's just a few examples. But here's why it happens. Many corporations do it. It happens all the time. But the number one reason why most corporations choose to engage in this style of eliminating and or terminating employees is to avoid legal risk or severance costs. They don't want to pay you. They don't want to pay you. They don't want to give you a severance. They want to avoid legal risk. So I'm going to make it very difficult for you. I'm going to quiet quit you. And eventually you will leave. Now, there's this phenomenon in psychology that most times when people and or organizations do something, it's not their first time doing it. And typically when we repeat a pattern or a behavior, it's because it's worked for us in the past. You won't be the first. You're not the first. And you most certainly won't be the last as it relates to corporations and why they do the things that they do. But the number one reason is to avoid risk, legal risk, or severance costs. We want to save as much money as possible. We also want to avoid being scrutinized or having negative exit interviews that we have to document in our data. Okay. The second reason why it happens is they want to make space for new hires without having to fire anyone. Listen, I don't want any blood on my hands. I'm going to have you here. I'm going to have your backfill here. Your backfill is the employee that's actually going to replace you. I'm going to have you train them, work with them. I'm making space in real time. Therefore, I don't have to fire anyone. That doesn't go against me as a manager. It doesn't go against me as a director. And when it comes to my employee opinion survey, I score great all across the board. M. Mills says my old job, they ran out all the people that had integrity and seniority. Queen Liz says this happens so often in retail at all levels from what I have seen. It does. The third reason is punishing you. Sometimes it's just as simple as retaliation, okay? I'm going to get my leg back. I'm going to punish you as an employee without facing direct confrontation. I'm going to squeeze you out. And for those of you that may be tuned in that maybe you are a C-suite leader or you're higher up in your organization and you decided to tune into today's segment, it happens all the time, okay? Do not appoint a godlike complex to the leaders in your organization. People are just people, are just people, are just people. You can never say, not my senior director, he or she would never do that. Why not? They're people like any and everybody else, and people are capable of being petty. People are capable of punishing an employee and or retaliating. Okay. Last, they do it to encourage you to resign to avoid performance management. They don't want to manage you for whatever reason, whether they've deemed you unlikable, not a team player, too difficult, too rowdy, too rude, too lazy, whatever it is, they don't want to manage you anymore. So they're going to try to encourage you to resign to avoid performance management. They don't have time to bring you up to speed, to give you another chance. So I am going to encourage you to leave, to look for a different position, whether it's internally within the organization or externally. Okay. It happens all the time. Shar says, oh, I watched my manager train her own replacement without knowing it. And as soon as they messed with her enough for her to quit, the lady she was training came right on in as our new manager. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. We've talked about what is quiet firing, some things you can look for, why it happens, and let me tell you how it impacts the workplace, okay? Because it does have an impact on the workplace, whether it's obvious or subtly. Number one, it creates a toxic culture, okay? It creates a toxic culture. It creates distrust and fear because other employees are watching you not respond to this employee who's being mistreated, who's being left out of meetings, who receives poor or no feedback. They've started to see you take or reduce the load of their responsibilities. They see you excluding them from key meetings, or they see you push them to the brink of breaking by establishing unreasonable workloads, and then you micromanage them to death. And what happens is it creates a lack of trust. Now the other employees no longer trust you as an organization, as a coach, or as their direct team lead. It lowers the second thing, or the second way it has an impact on the workplace. It begins to lower the morale. Other employees are not deaf, dumb, and mute. They notice when someone is being treated unfairly. They may not speak up for whatever reason, but they do notice it. So it's going to lower the morale in the workplace. It damages your reputation as an organization. There may not be an immediate impact, but when you mistreat your employees and you take on the strategy of quiet firing, word gets out. People talk, especially on platforms like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Reddit, or TikTok. Oh, they are going to talk, especially this generation of Gen Zs. And I know people have views of Gen Zs. And unfortunately, Gen Zs have a bad reputation, but I really appreciate them as a generation because they are not. Now they do have in many in many instances they do have unrealistic expectations for work and what they think their value is coming in the door as entry level employees, but they will not sit down quietly and allow you to mistreat them in the workplace. They will take it to TikTok. They will take it to social media. And last but not least, it induces burnout and a high turnover. It discourages engagement amongst the employees in your organization. Okay. People are going to leave because no one wants that to happen to them. And if you were tuned in and this is what you engage in, or this is the strategy that you engage in, listen, this segment just may be for you. And maybe you do have difficult employees and you don't want to fire them. You don't want, quote unquote, blood on your hands. You don't want that to be a strike against you as a manager. Sit them down. Have a real performance review, not a PIP, a PIP. For those of you that know what a PIP is, do not put them on a performance improvement plan. That's even worse. Because most times, probably 9 times out of 10, when an employee is placed on a PIP, a performance improvement plan, you have every intention of terminating them. It's just a slow kill. You're killing them softly. Sit them down. Tell them it's not working. Tell them the reasons why. Help them land softly in another role on another team. That's how you can be a standout as a leader within the organization, okay? Sometimes it's just a difference of working styles, a difference of communications. It could be a personality difference. It doesn't mean that employee is doomed. That employee, it doesn't mean that that's not a great employee. Your job is to manage up anyway. Your job is to develop talent. We don't want to leave that responsibility strictly to the hands of HR. If you are indeed a great manager, if you are indeed a great people leader, you should be able to develop talent, even if it means that employee having to leave your team. When you think about sports and talent, when we look at it in different ways, right? Teams trade players all day to fill gaps and holes on the roster. Why not? Either way, because if you choose to do a performance improvement plan, or if you choose to quietly fire an employee, it's still creating a toxic work environment. Okay. Shar says, oh, okay, I saw that one. It's still creating a toxic work environment. Okay. I want to go to a different, actually, let me open up the lines for those of you that would like to call in if you have any questions or would like live feedback on air. This is the part where we open up the lines for questions and or if you need feedback or if you feel like this is happening to you in real time. Dorothy Redden says, yes, I just took a higher position and they're mad. Tell me how to move if they decide to stay, huh? Tell me how to move if they decide to stay with the lower position. Can you write that out again for me, Dorothy? I want to make sure I follow you. Thank you, the real CT. The real CT says, speak on it, Queen. It happens all the time. But can I tell you something? If you learn and understand people, and if you learn and understand organizations, there is nothing new underneath the sun, and there is nothing that you cannot navigate through. We host these segments on purpose with intention for a reason. This very well could be happening to you. There's a rule that we talk about on this segment, these corporate segments. The first rule that I repeat over and over and over and over is if you choose to stay in that organization, you have to play. If you stay, you must play the game. Write that down. Put it in your notes app on your iPhone and your Android. Make a sticky note to remind yourself, if you stay, you must play. That means adjust accordingly, fix your attitude. Don't kill the morale. Don't lower your productivity. You need to figure out how to survive in that role until you can get yourself to a different job. The best time to look for a job is when you have a job, okay? The best time to look for a job is when you have one. It's up to you to be proactive in driving your career path. It's nice to have a manager. It's great to have an organization that's going to get behind you with the right support and the right energy. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility. Okay. The kids say, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. If your resume is up to date, if you are a high performer within an organization, it's really hard to get rid of you. Because even if they don't want you, somebody else may want you on their team. If you are doing your due diligence to put out 1,000% as it relates to you as an employee, you as your work ethic, being timely on your projects, having very, very good, solid communication skills, but also good listening skills, because some of us seem to forget that a good part of being a leader, even when you're not in a leadership position, is being able to read the room and listen and observe to what's happening around you. Being able to listen and observe to what's happening around you without judgment. So ultimately, it's your responsibility to address anything that lessens your productivity, lessens your morale, okay? You're not crazy. This is how corporations tend to get rid of you more times than not. You can be isolated, you can be left out of meetings, your responsibilities could be reduced. You're no longer receiving solid feedback. They start to micromanage you, scrutinize your every move, your every conversation. It's not sustainable. If that is happening, you should do one or two things. You address it and or you leave. Not necessarily the organization, but maybe the team. But maybe the team. Quiet firing is the exact opposite of quiet quitting, okay? So instead of you checking out, the employer checks out. It's the leadership, y'all, where they subtly push you out the door. It's no different than you having company or guests over your home and they've been there for a while. And some of you say, oh, all right, well, what do you have up next? Huh? It's been nice having you. You never said get out, but hopefully they take the cue. Okay, that is probably one of the most simplified ways that I can give you as an example of what an employer has quietly or is attempting to quietly fire you. Welcome, Sharon W. What are your questions or what feedback do you need for today's segment?
Good morning, Queen and the mods and everybody else. This is a good subject here because it's been going on for a period of time. It's not hitting the corporate level, but I was in college in the 90s. They were doing that in retail and restaurants, cutting your hours. And they weren't telling you anything, but the person who do the hour, they say, well, this is what the boss told me to do. He or she said, these are many hours you can get. So they were doing that too as well. In the workplace, before I quit my job, my boss was doing the same thing. And I knew what he was doing. So he would like micromanage me. He was doing, you give me busy work. So I, like you said, play along the game. If you know what's going on, play the game And I did. And he got more mad. And then one of the ladies from the main corporate office called me. I went to a meeting. We had a regular meeting, and she's like, Sharon, what's going on over there? Why are your boss doing this? Why are your boss doing that? Now it came back to the corporate office. That means he did something. He said something. And I said, I was like, I know what he's doing. He's trying to find ways to say I'm not able to do my job. And I pass every, with it, modulates and all that stuff there. So when you know your boss is trying to do something to you, you have two choices. You could play along the game, or you could outsmart him. And that's what I did. I would say myself, I did the military thing. I saw what's going on, so I peeped game. So that's all you do.
That's a great example. Thank you so much, Sharon. I love the fact that she honed in on, she understood what was going on. She recognized the signs, said, listen, I'm being pushed out of here. And she played the game until she can get somewhere else. And I think a lot of us, where we fell. Thank you, Sharon, for coming up. Thank you. I forgot to say bye. Where we fail is we have if you're not careful, you can have an adverse reaction and or response, and it doesn't work in your favor. And let me tell you what that looks like when you have an adverse reaction or response. So when you start to gossip about it, you start to, on break, on lunch, tell everyone that you recognize what's going on. That doesn't help you in corporate America, because it's going to get back to them, okay? Even when you feel like you're confiding in your most trusted advisor. No, that's the wrong way. If you choose to stay, if you're not ready to walk out immediately, remember this. If you choose to stay, you got to play. And sometimes that means zipping it up. Shh, be quiet. Don't say a word. Figure out what your next best step should be. And it is not venting to the entire organization. It is not venting to your best friend at work, because you have a best friend, your best friend has a best friend, their best friend has a best friend. And before you know it, everybody is aware. Watch this, how quickly the tables can turn against you. Before you know it, everybody becomes aware that you are not happy with your job. Wait, hold up, Queen Sheba. What do you mean I'm not happy with my job? They are trying to quietly fire me. Absolutely. But when you open up that can of worms and you begin to confide and confess or vent your frustrations, now the label is on you. You're not happy with your job. Boom. You just gave them a free get out of jail. You just gave them a get out of jail free card. You see how that works? You see how that works? Thank you, Dorothy. She said, you said that right. Yeah, you just gave them a get out of jail free. Now I can terminate you. Now I can fire you for lowering the morale, being insubordinate. Because quiet firing is, y'all, it's just a way for companies to avoid legal risk. If I fire you, I better have a damn good reason. And I know most times we have the notion of, well, it's an at-will state. Okay, sometimes. But if I'm a high performer, if my employee reviews have been stellar, if my work speaks for itself, my relationships, my bonuses, my raises, my promotions, and you get rid of me without a legitimate excuse, yeah, let's go talk to EEOC. Oftentimes, it's not necessarily you're a bad employee. Sometimes it's just as simple as not being a good fit. And they do it because they don't want the bad PR of laying someone off. Most companies do not take pride in laying you off. They don't want to do it. So I'm going to do a workaround. I'm going to find a way to get you up out of here one way or the other with my reputation intact. Now, if we can be honest, in defense of corporations and organizations, this is a tactic, quiet firing, that's often used by managers supervisors, team leads, directors who are undeveloped. What do you mean undeveloped? You don't have robust training in leadership. You're undeveloped in leadership. I don't care how many years you've been a manager. Doesn't make you a great manager. You can still be undeveloped. So this is often used by undeveloped, untrained, or conflict avoidant managers who don't want to go through the formal performance review process. They're lazy sometimes. They want to avoid confrontation. They don't want to help. They don't wish to be held accountable. So I'm just going to quietly fire you. I don't feel comfortable having those conversations with you. I know you're going to challenge me. I know you know your employee rights. I don't want to get in bed with you in HR. I don't want any pushback. So I'm going to do everything in my power to be toxic very quietly, because make no mistake about it, it's still a toxic strategy, and it does damage the workplace culture in the long run. According to research, 70% of employees say they've experienced some form of subtle exclusion or neglect at work, right? 70% of employees. This means white, black, yellow, brown, man, woman. Now, if we begin to peel back that data and apply a little bit of texture, color, age, gender, ooh, imagine that. Imagine that. Last but not least, here's what you can do. If you feel like, or if you suspect that you're being quietly fired, here's some things that you can do. And this is actually a piggyback off of last week's conversation. The first thing you can do, you must do, is document everything. Document everything. On September 25th, I was not included on such and such meeting. Screenshot the meeting invite. Screenshot where your name was not on the meeting. Screenshot the organizer of the meeting. Screenshot you taking the initiative to say, hey there, I noticed there was a meeting, and unfortunately, it seems like I may have been left off, right? Screenshot their response to that. Screenshot if it happens again and again and again. The second thing is you need to talk to your manager. Yeah, you have to be able to communicate with your manager regarding your concerns. Now, my recommendation is to speak in a way that it can be documented, okay? Talk to your manager. Ask for clarity on their expectations and future plans. Hey, listen, even though I wasn't on the meeting and I know it was an oversight, I recognize it was an error. How does that impact me? Because I don't feel like I have the information that I need. How is that going to impact me? Put that in writing. Every time you have a meeting, summarize the meeting in writing via email. Hey, thank you for such a great conversation today. Here's a couple of things I was able to capture during the meeting. Does this sound correct? The third thing is go to HR. Go to HR. Escalate to HR only if you've tried resolving it directly. That means if you've given this and you've approached this thing in every way that you can, and there's still no resolve, get HR involved. And I know some of you have the notion that HR does not work for you. Okay, who cares? But I told you how to go to HR correctly last week. We don't go to HR because we feel, or you made me feel. We go to HR with detailed facts, dates, timelines. That's it. We don't feel anything when we go to HR. Well, I feel like I'm being disrespected. Okay. That is not a violation in the workplace because you feel. Go to HR, but you only go to HR if you've tried resolving directly. And if you choose to go to HR, you better have a detailed outline of when you initiated the conversation, summarize quickly the conversation, the outcome of the conversation, and what happened next, and the reason why you are choosing to involve HR, quote unquote, as a neutral party. Okay. I'll come to that, Deborah. I see you. The fourth thing is look elsewhere. I would probably say my third step would be I would start looking for a job before I involved HR. If it takes too long, so this is the fourth step, right? That I would recommend. Look elsewhere. Start looking for another job. I'm sorry. I recognize you like it. You've been there for a while. You want to push through. You want to wait it out. But what's more important? Your mental health, your well-being, your productivity as an as an employee, or you proving a point as an employee. What you waiting on? Look for a job. It's over. Unless they get rid of that director, that team lead, or that manager, it's going to be the same old song until they get you up out of there, okay? So you may as well start looking while you have a job. I would probably switch HR and looking for a job. And if it took me too long to look for another job, then I would involve HR. Okay, so that's number 4. And then last but not least, and I just talked about it, protect your mental health at all cost. Protect your mental health. You better use that PTO. You better take off the time that you need to rejuvenate, refresh, and renew until you can get up out of there. Sometimes quiet firing can feel like gaslighting. It's not your fault. It happens. It's a real thing. You're not crazy. You're not making things up in your head. It's a very low vibrational way to operate. Thank you, Yvonne Michelle. She says, make sure you operate in facts and not feelings when you go to HR. Unfortunately, many of you have gotten to the point where you feel like HR is not your friend because you've gone unprepared. I know. Let me say it again. Many of you feel like HR is not your friend because oftentimes you've gone unprepared. You've gone emotionally charged, not to say you were wrong. You just didn't have the right strategy in place. But now you know because you found this YouTube segment of this wonderful Wednesday morning corporate segment, and you are now prepared and ready to do things differently. Can I get an amen in the chat? Can I get an amen? Call to action. Quiet firing is real. I just want to reemphasize that. It is a real phenomenon. It's subtle, but it's real. And it's happening every day in corporations all across this beautiful country in the realm of corporate America, okay? You got to know the signs. I went over it. You got to be prepared to protect yourself, right? By staying ready. If you are a subpar employee, if you are lazy, if you have a bad attitude, unfortunately, the numbers will not be in your favor. It could be happening to some of you that are tuned in right now, and you're just not on the right side of the fence. So your first concern would to be to probably bring yourself up to speed as it relates to how you communicate, being on time, adjusting your attitude, adjusting your morale, and better managing your relationships with the people that you work with on a day-to-day basis. And thank you for the amens and the hallelujahs in the chat. Okay? Thank you. Queen Liz says the times that I've involved HR, they were very helpful and really did care about their employees. One thing that we talked about last week as it relates to HR, typically, even though it's not right, it works like this. The first person that goes to HR is often deemed to be the one who's innocent or being victimized or correct, or the person that's correct. Okay? Don't be afraid to advocate for your value. Your manager, your director, your VP, your CEO is just a person. Some of the best leaders and organizations are actually not in leadership positions. They're individual contributors. You may be that person. So what are you afraid of? You sit down, you prepare, you place a meeting on their calendar for 10 to 15 minutes, and you go in and you advocate for yourself. Address the pain point, place recommendations on the table, and be ready to ask for specific outcomes. Do you know how many times I've talked to men and women in the workplace who have come to me disgruntled, but when I've asked them, and I don't work in HR, right? But I do volunteer as an executive coach to help and assist high performing employees who are on a leadership track, and they've come disgruntled quietly looking for resolutions. But when I've asked them, what are you needing to happen? Do you know almost 100% of the time, many cannot answer that question, which tells me they just wanted to vent. No, you need to know exactly what are you needing to happen. And if you're just needing to vent, you do not vent in the workplace. You need to go find a good friend off the clock and vent. Yeah, I've been shocked. What are you needing to happen? Oh, I never thought of that. Really? You better. You better. Because otherwise, you risk the chance of being labeled a disgruntled employee, man or woman. Oh, he just likes to complain. She just likes to complain. Yeah, I had a one-on-one with her. I sat with her for 45 minutes. All she did was complain. She had no recommendations, no solutions, no nothing, just complained. And that's how those conversations go. So if you choose to stay, you better play. If you choose to escalate and to advocate for yourself, you better know what you're needing to happen. Because a savvy manager, a savvy leader is going to say, how can I assist you? They're saying, what do you need to happen? Hey, Dorothy, I have to delete that comment. That can get us in trouble. I had to, because you put the hard ER on it. I had to delete that. But listen, if you choose to do that, you better be on your P's and Q's. You better be ready to have an adult professional conversation. Otherwise, I would not escalate, okay? That's it. That's all. Any questions? Any questions? And that will conclude today's segment. Protect your mental health. Be prepared to advocate for yourself. But if and when you do, you need to know what it is that you're hoping or you're needing to happen, that you need to happen. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? I'll drop the link one more time. If not, we are out of here. We are out of here. And I hope, listen, for some of you, you're just pulling up to work. You got what you need. I hope you were able to get what you need from today's segment. Take what you need and discard the rest. The real Nikki says there are managers who are unqualified for the position they are in, comma, hence the petty drama and unprofessional behavior of the manager. Right, but you can manage up. Do you know that's what your one-on-ones are for? For you to manage the manager. The number one mistake that I see majority of employees make is not recognizing or realizing the power of having a one-on-one meeting with your manager. That's your meeting. And a good manager recognizes that you are actually supposed to lead that one-on-one. But most of you don't. You come in and you allow them to drive the narrative, the dialogue, to set the goals. And you come in and you repeat the same old song week by week by week, bi-weekly, once a month. And they tell you what to do, what they've observed. And you sit there and you say, okay. And you never shift the position of power. You can actually take the lead in your one-on-one. So if this happens to be you, who you may suspect, remember, not feel, you suspect or you believe, watch this. This is other language you can utilize. I believe, not I feel. Replace feel with believe. I believe or I suspect that A, B, C may, not is, may be happening. May means you're giving the benefit of the doubt. It's not an accusation. It's simply a concern. You see right here, I believe. If you are working or if you suspect and or believe you are working with a manager who is unqualified for the role and they may be mismanaging you, here's how you can take control. You go prepared to your next one-on-one meeting. We've talked about this. Let me pull out my notes. Hold on. I have my notes. As you prepare for your upcoming one-on-one meeting, you want to share 3 things in that meeting. 5 minutes before the meeting, you want to send an email to your manager if you work in that type of role, right? Hey, here are a couple of things I would like to focus on for our one-on-one. The first thing that I would want you to identify is your wins for the week. I'm going to put it in the chat. Your wins for the week. Your wins are simply the things that you have accomplished and or achieved. I don't care if it's a meeting. Hey, I was able to meet with Melon and Blend this week. We were able to come together, discuss ABC. We're good to go in that area. I have another meeting that I've set. That's a win. It could be as simple as responding to an email and giving another employee and or the sales team what they need. It could be the finish completion of a PowerPoint. That is a win. You're just going to highlight your wins for the week. It doesn't have to be anything significant. The fact that you got it done is a win. The second thing that you want to pinpoint, now, when you send this email to your manager, you're not going to list the wins. That's the point of the meeting. You're not going to bullet point everything. Hey, here's a couple of things that we're going to call it the wins for the week. The second thing is your what you're prioritizing. What you're prioritizing for the next week. That means, okay, this is what I achieved this week. This is what I'm focused on next week. Run it by them. My wins, and here's what I'm prioritizing for next week, okay? It could be, oh, I have this phone call scheduled. I'm onboarding a new hire. I'm going to this training. I plan on enrolling in this course for, I don't know, a certification. That's what you're prioritizing. And then last but not least, you are going to defer to their leadership. That means you're going to hand the baton to them. So you're going to go through, hey, here's some things that I was able to achieve this week or last week, right? So if your meeting is on tomorrow on a Friday, you're going to talk about everything you did from last week until Friday. Then you're going to go to, but here's what next week looks like for me. These are some things that I'm prioritizing. And then third, you're going to pause and say, well, finally, I just want to give you an opportunity to share your feedback, your response on those 2 items. They're going to give you their feedback, and then they're going to go into their list of things. 9 times out of 10, if you are who you say you are by way of your work ethic, you should have already knocked off what they've had on their list. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? That's going to help you. That's going to put you in a position of elite. They go, whoa, They're going to say, M. Mills is really a good employee. Not only that, leaders, successful people love when you save them time. Everybody likes to have 15 minutes back. They don't want to meet with you just like you don't want to meet with them, but they have to account for their time just like you do. Girl, guy, if you come into that meeting prepared and y'all are able to breeze through and you say, well, that's all I have for today. I mean, I would love to give you time back. Absolutely. Thank you. I think I will take that 15 minutes of time and go get me a cup of coffee. Reviews and recaps said, absolutely. We love a good time back. You start to learn how to save people time by being prepared, baby, you have found a friend for life. You have your bonuses, your performance reviews are going to be stellar. And the only way to do that is to show up prepared. And once you start to show up prepared, you really don't have time to notice the negativity in the workplace because you are busy being prepared. Negativity would literally have to come find you and beat down your door because you are busy with your head down working. And the moment you decide to leave and you are a stellar employee, trust me, they will fill that gap. And what I mean by fill, not F-I-L-L, F-E-E-L, they will fill it. They will hate to lose you. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your age. You will be missed. But you got to know when it's time to go. And you always leave before you are asked to leave. That's it. That's all. I saw a comment that I would like to read out loud. Coco NT says, Queen, my job wants us to come in 2 times a month now. It takes me 2 hours there and almost 3 to get home. It really makes me depressed thinking of how they want us to come in for a work at home job. Well, let me give you the positive of it. It's twice a month. It gives you a lot of time to prepare. It gives you a lot of time to prepare. Some people are having to go in 3 times a week. And if you do the math, 3 times a week times 4, that's 12 times a month. So if you flip the coin and look at the other side, you're actually in a better position than most people. Not to say that it doesn't cause depression and it doesn't give you a headache, but it gives you a lot of time to prepare. What does that mean? That means I'm going to set my clothes out early. I may get up a little bit earlier, go by Starbucks, get me a cup of coffee. I'm going to leave early, tune into my favorite podcast, and I'm going to make the most out of the commute because it's twice a month. You get what I'm saying? We can do anything twice a month. And if it is depressing, then you set up your therapy calls for your drive home, where you can engage with a therapist who can give you strategies on how to navigate and cope with the depression of having to go into your job twice a month. Thank you, Linda. Linda said, great live. Thank you, Linda Gamble. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. The real Nikki said, I left, and it took 4 people to replace me, and everyone have been telling me my presence is deeply missed. I still keep relationships with those who like me. And listen, when we leave, do you remember how we leave? We close doors quietly around here. We do not slam doors. You slam doors, you can't sit next to me. You close the doors quietly. We don't go kicking and screaming. We don't try to burn other people's houses down. That means if you decide that it is not a good fit for you, leave quietly, just in case you have to go back. You never know. Ham Sandwich says, how do you feel about company surveys? Are they really anonymous like they say? They ask you about direct leaders, performance, and some comments aren't as nice but honest. Will that make you a target? Find different words. You can still stand on your point, and you can still stand on business and know how to do it in a workplace setting. You can still say what you said. Use the proper language. Use the lingo of your field, but still stand on business. I hope that helps. Thank you, Somali. She says you broke it down nicely. Let me see if there's any more questions. I think somebody had a question, and I said I was going to come back to it. There was one question, and I'm trying to find it. And I said I was going to come back to it. Let me see if I can find that question. It came through. Coco, I hear it. She says, I'm happy to have my job and my pension, but I just feel like they're attempting, but I believe. Remember, we're going to start to say, believe. So we're no longer feeling, we believe. I believe. So I'm going to reread your sentence. From here on out, for those of you that are tuned in, stop saying, I feel. You have to say, I believe. I'm happy to have my job and my pension, but I believe they are trying to warm us up to come in permanently. And they may be, but until they do, that is called a perceived, in the world of psychology, we call that a perceived barrier. Perceived means it's not even happened. It's not a reality. It's just a perception. You are perceiving that, and maybe they are, but until they do, there's nothing to worry about. And if they do, because you come to this corporate segment on a weekly basis, you would be ready or should be ready to go anyway. I've given you over 2 years, and when I say you, I'm talking to all of y'all, of commentary, strategies for free. Your resume should be on point. You should be thinking about your next step. If they have us come into the office in 2026 every day of the week, and if I cannot pull up with a good attitude, and if it still impacts my mental health, this would be my next step. That's it. That's all. And when we take the feeling out and we're ready to go and we are prepared to leave, if we need to, if it's no longer a good fit for you, there's nothing to worry about, because you have empowered yourself as an employee in the most professional way to deal with what comes next. That's it. That's all. Yes. Shar says, I put a question up. I'm trying to figure out, somebody had a question up. Let me see if I can go find it. Deborah C., what if the CEO is a part of the problem? Can you be more specific really quick, Deborah C.? I'll drop the link. Quick Cliff Note version. I found it. What if the CEO is a part of the problem? You probably gonna have to leave. You're probably going to have to leave. If the CEO is a part of the problem, the CEO is the head. And typically the head establishes the culture. Nobody's going against the CEO. Somali, you knew what it was, didn't you? That was the question I was looking for. Queen, is leaving a job without notice quitting quietly? No. You're leaving abruptly. I don't think you should give a notice anymore. Y'all remember I talked about that. I talked about that a few months ago. You are not legally obligated to give a notice to a corporation. It's nice, but you don't have to. And if you choose to, it needs to be a strategy. If you're going to get the hell up out of there without giving a notice, I'm going to leave it like that. It's nice if you do, but you don't have to, because they don't have to. Okay? They can walk in today and walk you out legally. Thank you. Loyana says, this was much needed today. I'm updating my resume right now. About to move on quietly, of course. Listen, quietly is the best kept secret, because corporations are corporations, but people move around the cabin freely all the time. So sometimes it's not the people. It's just that it's just not a good fit, right? And you may have somebody from that corporation that may go to a different place that wants to bring you along. And that's why we encourage that you close the door quietly. We don't slam doors around here. We see other people do it. We let them do it, but we will not participate. We will not slam doors. We're going to leave quietly. Thank you. Shanda said, it's nice, but not required. Absolutely. Know your rights. And I always say, honey, take your 401k with you. Well, they say I'm going to be penalized. Well, okay. Penalize me. My money is good with me. I think I can manage it a little bit better than you. Okay? And don't even get me started. Sadly, my notice period was 3 months. You gave them a 3-month notice? That's fine. I'm not going to criticize that. Deborah say his way or no way. Well, I mean, he's the CEO. Deborah, if you going to stay, y'all better tell her. What's the rest of the rule? If you going to stay, somebody put it in the chat. Put the rule in the chat. You better play. You got to play. If you going to stay, you got to play. We don't stay and complain. We stay and play. We don't stay and complain. We stay and play, or we leave. If you going to stay, Deborah, you got to play. It's his way or no way. Yep, you got to play the game if you going to stay. You got to fix your attitude when you walk in there. You got to get behind him with the right energy if you going to stay. You better play. That's it. That's all. I think you got it. I think you got it. Okay. That's a very good question. Social Work Glam says, Queen, hold up. How do you not slam the door and not give a notice at the same time? First of all, let me warm up my coffee. Can y'all give me 30 seconds? Because I really want to tackle this question. I'm going to blow your mind on this one. We're going to go to commercial just for a quick second. I promise you, I'll be right back. Give me 30 seconds to warm up my coffee. All right, we're back. I had to, you know what? This was one of I hope you were able to warm up your coffee too. Cuz this is good. Now, typically I was supposed to leave y'all a long time ago, like 30 minutes ago, but I like questions like this. Queen, how do you not slam the door and not give a notice at the same time? Does not giving a notice kind of slam the door? Absolutely not. If you understand that you've been conditioned to be subordinate and that the job, the corporation, the house always wins. The house does not give you a notice when they eliminate your position, when there's a reduction in the workforce. The only time they give a notice is if they're accepting federal funds and they have to report large cutoffs or large eliminations to the federal government, and you can go to the site. And if you have enough savvy, you know exactly where to go, but they don't have to tell you anything. And not only do they not have to tell you anything, they will look you dead in the face and you say, is my role at risk? Oh, I'm not sure. And they know damn well it is. They know damn well it is, but they need to keep you in place and keep you idle until they are ready to release you, ensuring that they have everything they need to go. From you training somebody else, offloading your work and your responsibilities, knowing what meetings you have, who are the key people, who do you email, who's on that list. And oftentimes they'll give you this, right? Depending on what career, what area you are in as it relates to your career path. So you have been conditioned to accept the fact that they don't need to give you a notice and that you can be let go at will. But you know what? Give me a 2-week notice. And even when you give a 2-week notice, do you know you can still be terminated? That's a fact, Jack. Ask any HR. What? Yes, you could still be terminated. You could still be released that day, which is why I say don't give a notice. But it's not slamming the door when it goes a little something like this. Dear Gwendolyn Thomas, I would like to thank you for blah, 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 being such a great leader. It has been a phenomenal journey over the past 3 years with this team. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances in my family, I have a family emergency or I have a family blah, blah, which requires my immediate resignation, effective September 25th, 2025. Thank you. I didn't slam a door. I left. And it's dealing with my family or it's dealing with my mental health. If you are a good employee and you leave like that, they may come back and say, well, you can take a leave of absence. That's on you now if you want to take a leave of absence. That's on you. I can give you some time out. That's on you. But let me just tell you this. Oftentimes when they do that, it ain't got nothing to do with you. They need more time to get their house in order. And many of you say, okay, well, give me that leave of absence. You know what? I guess I will. That has nothing to do with you. It's not because they love you so much. Whoa, I didn't know you were breaking up with me. Let me get myself together. Let me put some things in order so that I can have time. If you leave, you need to leave. Yep. That's it. That's all. I hope that helps. I hope that helps. Dear Yvette says, at my old job, as soon as you tell them you're leaving, they had security. I would pack up my stuff. Security wouldn't get the pleasure. If you listen to me, I would pack it up myself. First of all, can we talk about packing up your stuff? Do you know there's a rule, an unspoken rule that you should never have more than one box full of stuff on your desk? Some of you have moved into those people's organizations, and should you choose to leave and or be terminated, they would have to call a U-Haul truck just to get you up out of there. No more than one box of things in that office on that desk. Thank you, reviews and recaps. No one can argue with the family emergency ever. They don't know if it's a death, and don't you give any information. What happened? I'm not at liberty to say. I just want to reiterate, it has been phenomenal working under your leadership. And in the perfect circumstances, I would have given more notice. Social work glam says, oh, okay, I see where you went with that. You better go there. Yvonne Michelle said, I felt that in my soul. Listen, type it up. Manifest it. I dare you right now. For those of you that are tuned in and you know you need to make a move and your money is right, you're not sure when, and you say, it's not that I hate the corporation, but I'm going to empower myself. I gotta do better. I'm tired of the same old crap. I'm going to make a move. I don't know when. Go ahead and type it up right now so you can have the language. You may not remember it tomorrow. Thank you. Social say it makes sense. I was overthinking it. We all do. We all do. Make sure you don't have a U-Haul. That's going to have to get you up out of there. Start taking some stuff home today. You shouldn't have that much stuff anyway. It should be nice. Your desk, your workplace. Now you want it to be nice. You want to create an environment that's conducive to positive output, productivity, presenteeism, right? But you don't want to be moving in those people's places. Some of y'all listen. Shanda say, actually, I encourage you to already be gone. You should already be gone when you hit send. What do you mean, Queen Sheba? You don't send it while you're on the clock. You send it at 4:59 p.m. If it's a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, whatever, 10 to 7, 6:59 p.m. Boom. Or now I'm really going to get into some, don't play with me. I'm a corporate queen. Or you take 2 weeks of PTO. And the day before you return, you send in your resignation while out on vacation. Or you send it while out on vacation. Or you could take 2 weeks of PTO and then you say, this is my 2-week notice. And you never come back. I mean, baby, either way, I can cover you. If you're not comfortable not giving a notice, then take 2 weeks of PTO and never come back and send the resignation while you're on vacation. But you need to already have that computer ready to go, moved out of that office, all of that. M. Mills says, my office was already packed up and taken home before I gave my notice. Thank you. One of my team members helped me take it out. That's it. And I'm going to hit send as I'm rolling down the highway on my way to happy hour to celebrate. You leaving a job should never be a sad thing if you're a good employee and if you work your ass off. It should never be a sad thing. Dear Yvette says, I don't have anything on my desk, only the stuff the company gives us, not even a plant or pictures. Okay, there we go, Shar. Shar says, I'm typing mine up today. I wrote it down. And don't you leave your 401k with them. Well, we can roll it over. Now I can roll it over. Thank you. You ain't rolling over nothing the way this economy is going. I'll put it in the chat. Somebody said, can somebody put it in the chat? I'll put it in the chat. Give me 1 second. Hold on, Inez. Okay. I got it for you. Here you go. Give me 1 second. I got y'all. All right. This is for family issues. You can take that one. I'm going to give you one for mental health. Hold on. All right. Here we go. Let me put the other one in here. All right. Or mental health. Now, of course, you can take it and add a little razzle dazzle. Don't y'all just love these segments? There we go. You can screenshot it, save it, and use it when needed, if and when needed. Make sure you have listen, we don't just quit. Make sure your mortgage is paid up 3 to 6 months. I know they teach you, oh, you need to have 3 to 6 months of savings. Or let's get creative. You can have 3 to 6 months of savings is just to be able to pay your bills, right? But what if you have them paid up and you're ready to go? Car note, 3 to 6 months paid up, and okay, you're pulling that 401k. Okay, they're gonna call you. No, and we can manage it. No, I can manage it. Thank you. We're not rolling over nothing. Not in this economy, because there's no guarantee. Social work glam says not at 4:59 p.m. They can't even respond. They will respond. Trust me, depending on who your boss is. They will respond. I ain't telling you nothing that I ain't never done. And if you are a really good employer, they may have the audacity to call you. Don't answer. I'm not taking no phone calls. Dear Yvette says she planned hers so she would not miss a paycheck. Hey, whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. Yeah, they'll pay you out your PTO. I'd rather take mine. I'd rather take it. Money is good, but so is time. Time off. You know what? I don't even have to look at you when I'm leaving. I'm gonna take 2 weeks off and relax. Cause some of you go from job to job to job. Mm-mm. And you don't really have time to decompress and get yourself prepared and ready. Thank you. Divine Sparkles says, I love these corporate segments. Thank you. Absolutely, Divine Sparkles. You are so welcome. All right. So I gave you, go ahead and screenshot. I gave you one for mental health. And listen, this can be used for anything. Just change it up, okay? Not just work. Vacation. Remember 2 weeks ago, we helped Yvette Robinson get some time off for vacation. Nobody's going to challenge you. You just have to realize that you've been conditioned to sit still, be quiet, and work. Oh, wow. Precious says, hi, Queen and Chat. My son, this is hilarious. My son was communicating via text with the supervisor that he was not returning to work. The supervisor responded, good luck, kid, with your lame ass. Now, listen, Precious, that's funny because that was a great call um on your son's point to go ahead and leave the workplace. And listen, the supervisor, it is what it is, right? But in the future, tell him to don't do it via text, to please use email. Okay. We because they could not respond to that via email. And he could have had a case. There we go. Too. Thank you. Thank you to dear manager's name. Due to unexpected family challenges, I am resigning from my position effective immediately. This was a difficult decision, but my current circumstances require my full attention. That's it, y'all. That's it. Screenshot it. There you go. And you can do the same thing for days off. Dear so and so, due to unexpected family challenges, I am taking 6 days of PTO, 2 weeks of PTO, whatever it is, right? Family leave, effective tomorrow. My current, you're not going to say this was a difficult decision. You're going to say my current circumstances require my full attention. Please let me know if there's anything else you need from me, if it's regarding PTO or something like that. Black Women Lifestyle said, I called the contact person who does our maternity leave that I wasn't coming back. She asked why. I explained with facts. She said, thank you and enjoy. Hey, that's that's fair, right? Here's the thing though, in the future, put it in writing. Because even though a call is good, If there's no writing or documentation from you, she gets to tell your story. And this is the second part of it. And 2 has put it all in the chat. I appreciate the opportunities I've had and thank you for understanding. Sincerely, Inez. M. Mills says, I paid my car off early prior to leaving my old job. Yeah. And all you have to do is pay it up, y'all. When they say 6 months of savings, listen, just pay your rent up 3 months. Pay your car note up 3 months. Do you not know how much pressure you will relieve from your overall mental health and well-being, knowing that, listen, I'm paid up. I got my mortgage, my rent paid up for a few months, 90 days. I'm going to take some time off. I'm just going to decompress. I have my 401k here. That's what it's for. Yes, I've been conditioned that I can't use it until I'm 60 plus years old. But the way the world is going, go ahead and tax me, penalize me. That's what I saved it for a time as this. Sassy Me says, my job terminated me, giving me till the end of the month. I contacted my therapist, getting 30 days of stress leave and never went back. There you go. There you go. Social Work Glam says, thank you, Queen. I'm feeling more confident of starting my exit strategy. It should be probably one of the most exhilarating feelings. You remember, leaving a job should never be sad. If you are planning your exit right, if you are getting things in order. We are women and men of purpose. We do things with purpose and with good intention. We're not slamming doors. We're not trying to give anybody any negativity, any negative reviews, just in case we need to come back. We're good when we move like that. Shar says, wow. Thank you, TD Will says, this is so good. We try to make it good. Mary Willis. Yeah, but next time he needs to do it via email, and he needs to make it for medical reasons. Okay? That's it. That's all. Remember, anything else, nobody cares. Precious, is this your first time over here? And this is not specific towards your son. Nobody cares. Listen, I learned that I use that example. That a boss that I had that I thought was difficult actually made me a better employee. I came back from vacation because of my role as a product developer. People are knocking on my door, bamming at my door all the time. I just got back from vacation, and this lady wanted me to present in a meeting or whatever that day. Gave me anxiety. I reached out to my boss. I just got back from vacation. I didn't even know anything about this. And I fired off and da-da-da-da. And you know what she said? Nobody cares. I said, excuse me? Nobody cares. They're coming to you because they need answers. They're coming to you because of your role. Nobody cares that you just got back from vacation. I thought that was one of the worst things I've ever heard. And the more I sat in it without feeling or emotion, it made sense. It sharpened me up. It got me out of my feelings. Oh, okay. And from then on out, instead of getting anxiety about quick demands, I said, hey, I'm not available today, unfortunately. Here's some time slots I'm available to present on a behalf of whatever. If you can explain to him, nobody cares, you're over-explaining. Just let him know, due to medical reasons, health conditions, your last day will be blah, blah, blah. Put it in an email, and I dare he says, bye with your lame ass. He would never. And a traceable email. So we also have to bring our kids up to speed to make sure they protect themselves by using the right communication tools and methods, just in case somebody wants to get fly on the other end. Yvette says, my husband told me to tell you thank you, and we will be leaving next Thursday night. Thanks, Queen. You are so welcome. This is Yvette Robinson. We were able to assist her in getting the time off that she needed, and she actually works for the state, and she provides foster care, and she has 6 foster children, and she needed coverage for them. And guess what? We worked that thing out over here in the corporate segment. Her caseworkers, they were all separate. I think she had 3 different social workers. I have a very good memory, Yvette. And they got her coverage. And she and her husband are going on vacation. The real CT says, Queen, currently in a transition making move, quiet move. Timing presented itself that I was able to go on a family FMLA while I find my next step. That's right. And hopefully you have a 401k. If you have a 401k, the real CT, figure out how much it's going to cost you to pay your rent up 3 to 6 months. Some places don't let you, depending on if you're renting or if you have a townhouse, a high-rise apartment, okay? Go ahead and pay it up to the rest of the year. Pay your car note up to the rest of the year. And then you take the first 2 to 3 weeks off and you just kind of rejuvenate, do a little bit of self-care, take yourself on a trip and or a cruise. And then when you come back, you start to figure out where you would probably thrive in corporate America. And those are the jobs that you go after. Thank you. Janine says, these corporate segments are true gems. You are a rare breed. Thank you. I received that. Shorten says, that's what I did. Hey, Stacy. She says, I have been off since September 17th and will not return until the 17th, the 7th of October. I love it. That's 20 days, y'all. 20 days. 20 days off. Shanta said, I'm about to schedule my one-on-one session. Give yourself a week. Schedule it for next Wednesday or Thursday. Probably Wednesday. Put it on their calendar. Simple Logic says, I've heard the job market is extremely competitive right now. People have been looking for months up to a year. It's always been competitive. It's going to be competitive. It's always competitive, depending on what field you're in. Okay? But you got to remember, you're a gem. If you can go in and sell yourself and interview the hell out of a job position and you know your ish, who cares? The right job, the right role will find you. Don't worry about what the market got going on. Okay? Precious Days. Oh, okay, Precious. I got you. You said, no, it's my first time here. And yes, I told him he should have written a resignation. Yep. Because then if that boss would have responded like that through that company email, oh my God, girl, you would have had a little case. Hostile work environment. I would have took it straight to the EEOC. He called me a lame ass. Whether I am or not, you said it. And that's why I'm leaving. Because of shit like this. Excuse my language. Sorry. All right. I think that's it, everybody. Y'all had some wonderful comments. Simple Logic says, I agree. I love my role. Let me go back to what you said. Yes. There you go. You love your role and you're good at it. And you should constantly challenge yourself. All right, everybody. I've been here for over an hour and a half. I think we're going to have to go. Thank you. I hope this session has been helpful. Up until then, I will see y'all a little bit later. We're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to get into the thick of it. Okay, we're going to go back to entertainment and all of that. But I just wanted to come and give you the corporate segment because we missed it on yesterday. Have a beautiful day.